Hi, welcome to the Briones Pickleball Podcast. My name is Jordan Briones, your host, and this is episode 006. We have some exciting things to talk about today, and again, we have my amazing co-host, Caden Imhoff.
What's up, everybody?
Caden, what is up? What's going on, dude? Not
much, man. I had a super long day yesterday, but I am feeling very rejuvenated by this matcha tea latte by Starbucks. I decided to get chocolate cream cold foam in it.
Yeah.
It tastes pretty damn good, I'm not going to lie.
Well, Starbucks, if you're out there watching, you know, a potential sponsor.
You know who to contact.
Come on. So in today's amazing episode, you're going to want to stay tuned. We're going to be talking about, obviously, we're going to start off with our weekly strategy pickleball tip. We're going to be talking about how pickleball is literally exploding all across the nation, and with indoor and outdoor facilities.
It's true.
And then we have some interesting interviews with some pros and a whole bunch of stuff to just talk about in this last PPA event. There's paddles being tossed different places. Watch out for those. And then, there's just a lot of madness going on.
But it's a crazy weekend for pickleball.
Yeah, crazy weekend, flight cancellations. But all in all, pickleball is still on the rise, and we're all happy about that.
It's never been bigger.
And it's only on. We're on the way up here.
That's right. That's right.
But so we will. So stay tuned. There's some very, very exciting things happening. And we're going to start off with that strategy pickleball tip. On this podcast, this is what we do. We are here to give you pickleball news and all things pickleball, but we are an educational channel, and we both want you all to improve and continue to watch good content, solid content, so that you can improve your game. So we will actually switch it up, and Caden, I'm gonna volley it to you.
Whoa, I love that. Okay, here we go. You ready?
I'm gonna actually dink volley.
Dink this one back to me really quickly. All right, and I'll dink it back to you. Hold on. Ready? Aim small, miss small.
Okay.
Mic drop.
All right. We can't literally drop these mics, but
nope.
All right. So you and your little phrases, huh?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know why. I love phrases, and I think it's because like growing up, anytime a teacher talked to me in paragraphs, I was kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? But anytime anytime there was like a little song or, a little phrase that you could just remember, that's kind of what helped me get through.
Yeah.
So for me, phrases are big.
Okay. So you said aim small,
miss small.
Miss small. So why don't you explain that one?
Yeah. So when you guys are playing pickleball, I feel like what happens most of the time is it's that same mindset of, please just hopefully I can get this ball over the net. And I respect that you are trying to get the ball over the net and trying to win some points. And, you can expect that people will make mistakes for you every now and then. As you get higher in level, you have to be able to pick a target, and if you're not going to make that target, you can miss that target by an inch or two, but you shouldn't be missing it by a foot. Right? So if you guys are out there and you guys have the mindset of just get the ball over the net, you guys are setting yourselves up to not hit that ball in any particular spot. You're just kind of, what I like to say is, you're just driving and you have no location, right? You're driving yourself to work and it's your first day and you have no idea where it is, and you just say, well, it's got to be east somewhere, right? And you just drive until hopefully you find it.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to end up finding it.
Yeah.
So pick your spot. Once you've picked your spot, try and go to that spot. If you don't succeed, it's not the biggest deal. All right. I would say personally, if you guys are trying to improve and you guys are picking a spot and you are going towards that direction, but you miss it by a little bit, that's not something to be upset about. But if you're just hitting that ball over the net to get it over the net, eventually that tactic will fail you.
All right, Caden, good tips. Just a thought on that. So let's say we're talking about dinks, right? Yeah. And what would you, let's say you're dinking straight on. with that kind of mindset, what are kind of some of the spots that you're looking at?
Yeah. So, I mean, you can always kind of mix things up, but a few spots, right? You can go to the center of their feet. You can go to their left foot. You can go to their right foot.
Yeah.
I am a big believer in forcing low contact, whether that means they're taking the ball in the air or off the bounce. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if they're making an upward motion on their swing, then you're in the clear.
That's good, man.
Right.
Yeah.
You can also hit to space, right? Space means to the left or to the right of them. Space is spots that they're not, so they have to move towards that ball.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, really good, man. And on that note,
Think that thing back to you.
okay. And then I will reset it back, actually.
Here we go.
I want to stay on this topic just for a little bit. Yeah. Aim small. You said miss small, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's really good tips that you provided there. Again, obviously, I think the biggest thing is, like what you said, is we want to make sure that we are actually picking a target. And people will say, dinking with a purpose.
Yeah.
You've probably heard, things like that. But that's very, very important. The only thing I would add there is, this is why drilling, this is why practicing and all that is very, very important.
Yeah.
We want to be practicing hitting to those spots.
Oh, for
and
sure.
Things like that. Because what I do see a lot of is I do see players at times aiming really close to the line.
Right.
For really small targets, but they might not have the skills yet.
Right.
So there's a lot of errors there.
For sure.
So that's one thing I would mention there. Any thoughts on that?
No, I think you're right. I think it obviously takes a specific skill set to, to be able to pick targets, but that doesn't mean you can't work towards it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like you said, drilling is so important because I'll be honest with you. I mean, most of the time I see people play games, there is absolutely no thought process going on in their brain whatsoever. They're just hitting the ball.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Well, they're surviving. I hear that a lot. I'm surviving or I'm just reacting.
exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So if you're not working on it, there's no way to improve on it. Right.
Yeah.
So I would say for the people that take my classes or, take lessons with me, like that's time to work on it. So once you get into a game, you can start to think about it and improve on it. But I mean, it's hard because most people, when they play a game, their mindset is to win, right? Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many people are in my clinics and then go to leagues and, before they start their league, I say, hey, what are a few things you're going to work on today? And they're like, oh, I'm going to work on my footwork. I'm going to work on my dinking. I'm going to make sure my hips are going when I'm serving. I'm like, okay, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
I see them 2 hours later. I'm like, so how'd it go? They're like, oh, it was great. I went 5-1 today. I'm like,
That's a good tip. So maybe focusing too much on the result.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I didn't ask about your results. I asked how it went when you were working on those things.
Yeah. And on that note, when you are working through things, again, there's so many things, especially if you're at the lower and intermediate level. There, we're talking about technique, you're talking about strategy. There's a lot of things to learn. My recommendation for you is to just focus on one or two things at a time.
Yeah.
Right. You can't focus on 10 things. So if you go out there in a game, focus on one or two, make sure you're doing those very well. And the goal is to get that more and more natural. Yeah. And so that you're doing the things right. So just for example, like if you're working on getting in a good ready position for your paddle, for the full game, make sure you're trying to make, after every ball you contact or your partner contacts, make sure that you have their paddle in a ready position. So
for sure,
that's my thing. Now we're gonna jump into my little strategy tip. You dink it over to me.
Yep.
Thank you, Caden. And then so this one is a strategy / technique / safety tip.
Holy crap!
Yeah.
But did you say 3 things there?
3 things, okay?
Right.
And I'll explain.
This one's got to be good.
It's very short, actually.
Oh, what?
But I'm going to explain.
Okay.
All right. So don't backpedal on your overheads. Okay.
Smart.
So the famous or infamous, or whatever you want to call it, the backpedaling, what I mean by that is once you see the ball go up and it may go over your head, the first thing, first of all, as a safety tip that you don't want to do is go back on your heels and like you're running backwards, right?
Right.
Very dangerous. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen people hurt themselves.
Too many people. People.
So first things first, you want to drop your dominant foot back. Okay.
Right.
We want to get in more of a closed stance position.
Right.
So that we can be in a strong position to hit an overhead.
Yep.
And without going to the full overhead technique, that's what we want so that we can shuffle laterally at that point.
Yep.
And then if it does go overhead, then we can easily turn and run the ball down.
Love that.
Yeah, I actually got that question from a listener or follower that actually sent us an email.
Oh, really?
And he says this. Why don't you? So that was my tip, but we're gonna break this down. This is a question we got from Bill K. Okay?
All right, Bill.
It says, should you always hit the ball in the air if you can when retrieving a lob, or should you ever let it bounce? Thanks, from Bill K. What do you think about that? What would your response be? Okay.
Bill, that's actually a great question. So for me, when I teach the overheads, I say personally, when you see that ball go up your dominant leg, right? If you're left-handed, it's going to be your left leg.
Yeah.
If you're right-handed, it's going to be your right leg. That step back is always super important. All right. Now, when you look up, there is a range of motion in your neck that is going to tell you whether that ball should probably bounce or if you should take that ball in the air. All right. So where my neck is going right now, by that point, if that ball is already beyond my vision, I'm going to let it bounce. All right. If it's in front of me, then I'll take it in the air.
Okay.
All right. So it's based off of your vision and where you kind of see that ball as you look up to track it down.
So if it's like, obviously, it's like if it's already over you and
Correct.
you're like,
Right.
your chin's going way up, obviously we want to run that down.
Correct. Right.
Okay.
And so
I like that.
For Bill, Bill, I would say if you can take that ball in the air, 100% try and do so. Just because, you might not get another opportunity in that point to get that ball, right?
Yeah.
So if you can take that ball in the air and hit a put away, I would say 100% give yourself a chance to do so. But that being said, if you do find that you look up and that ball is already past your vision, then I would recommend letting it bounce.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really good thoughts, Caden. I never thought about the vision or loss of vision thing, but really good tips. At higher levels, I would say, obviously we're seeing a little bit more offensive lobs in the game.
For sure.
So in offensive lobs, I mean by players hitting a lob from the non-volley zone line offensively, not that like they're on the defense.
Right.
But and we're seeing successful ones.
Yeah.
Very successful
Yeah,
ones.
for sure.
And I think that really, if you're also, again, for higher level players, if you're in a position of power, sometimes we may have to be hitting it overhead, falling back.
Right.
But players are so good that if you don't hit a strong overhead, that counter will come back really quick. So
for sure.
I would say for higher levels too, make sure you're kind of aware of how good of a shot or how good of an overhead you can take.
Yeah.
Because there are some that I'm way off balance and maybe I could have let drop, but I'm falling back trying to hit an overhead and we end up missing the ball wider into the net.
For sure.
But even though I could reach it, doesn't mean maybe it's the best play. So
Right.
I would say your balance and kind of where your weight's falling, keep that in mind.
Yeah, for sure. I think when you guys are hitting the overhead, one thing to watch for is your body placement for when you're hitting that ball. I feel like people see that ball in the air and no matter where it is at their body, they're still trying to hit it. So if you guys find that the ball is behind you when you guys are hitting that ball, you guys aren't hitting that ball cleanly. So just keep that in mind. If you can, when you're hitting your overhead, if your body is not behind that ball, I guarantee you will not be hitting the overhead that you thought you'd be hitting.
Yeah. No, really, really good. Now, that was our strategy segment there. We're going to talk a little bit about the pickleball explosion.
Oh, I mean, time bomb.
Time bomb.
Nuclear time bomb.
Nuclear bombs. Obviously, we've known this sport is exploding. I think there's even other stats that are getting released. How many tens of millions of players are playing?
Oh, for sure.
But obviously, celebrities coming into the game. There's PPA, MLP leagues. Just really quickly before we hop in and talk about specifically courts that are going in, Caden, what have you noticed? What has been the biggest thing to you that you've seen in the past year or so with pickleball?
I think just the growth, honestly. And I think for me specifically, the amount of kids that are now starting to pick up and play pickleball.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this, but at the last PPA here in Arizona at Legacy, at the complex I work at, the 3-5 to 4-5 brackets were full of GCU students.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean,
from the college.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I'm not going to lie, they were walking past me and these guys looked like a full-on club. They had GCU pickleball with Nike shirts and logos on their shirts. And I was like, okay, these guys are legit. Like, these guys aren't messing around. These guys love pickleball. They created a club at their school, and I guarantee you they probably play like every Tuesday and Thursday and have like little round robin tournaments and stuff like that. And I was like, damn, man, imagine if I was at college when this stuff was happening, I would have had a blast.
Well, that's another topic, or that's another thing we could get into.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, another
it's
time.
Like people my age actually wanting and liking pickleball.
You know what? A few years ago, it was an old man's sport.
Yep.
Not to say it in a degrading manner, but it was, it's still a lot of retirees, a lot of players, and we love you guys and gals that take up this sport. I think it's obviously one of the reasons why this sport has exploded is because, a lot of people who have never played any other sports, it's something they can play.
It just had a goofy name and everybody wanted to crap on it until they played it and they were like, oh, wait a second. Okay, this is actually kind of fun. So you know what? Shout out to my high school friends who used to roast me and call me Pickleboy in high school.
Really?
Look at me now, folks.
Okay, so Caden, a.k.a. Pickleboy. I didn't even know that, dude.
Oh, yeah. My Snapchat story's name is called Pickleboy's Adventures.
Oh, nice. Okay, I like that.
I've taken the name in, and it's a part of me now.
Dude, you never told me that.
Yeah, don't mention that actually ever again. You guys didn't hear that, all right?
Yeah, so just right here, this is one of the many articles that we've seen, but New York City unveils first indoor pickleball courts as game trends in U.S. Sport is for everyone, Lifetime CEO says.
Wow, that's actually a beautiful building.
Yeah, well, I've heard that the monthly charges are going to be very, very high, but
it's New York, so yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, again, what they're doing all over the country, and there's more and more indoor places popping up, and outdoor, obviously, but these abandoned malls, strip malls, these abandoned shopping centers, right? Yeah. Pickleball, it's space. It's utilizable. I don't know if that's a word, but space. And again, it's just growing the sport. Obviously, like compared to tennis and things like that, you can fit a lot of pickleball courts and, within a tennis area.
You know what the first thing I notice is in this picture?
What was that?
The MLP and PPA logo.
Oh, look at them.
Which means, I think, the PPA eventually will be going to New York.
Oh. Man.
And if they go to New York, you know what that means? Caden Nemov's going to New York. I love New York.
Oh.
I've only been there once, and I love New York.
Have you had New York pizza?
That's like basically what I had every day there, even though I was playing in a tournament. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I went once.
So good.
I went once. It was great. But yeah, speaking of indoor facilities here, for those of you that may know somebody with some expendable cash or money, or even maybe yourself, you worked really hard throughout your career and you just you have money and you just want to invest in something, I do have an opportunity for you. The Pickleball Kingdom locally here in Chandler, Arizona. Shout out to Pickleball Kingdom. They are actually franchising. So, I think they're the first ones to do this actually. So if you're interested or you know somebody that is interested, the Pickleball Kingdom's franchising, go ahead and click the link below. We'll leave a link in the description so that you can contact them directly. If you know somebody with some money and they want to invest, or if you would like to do that too. So
do you know where Pickleball Kingdom is looking to go?
Yeah, I talked to the owner the other day, all 50 states.
Wow.
Yeah, he is a man of big dreams. So, shout out to Mike there at Pickleball Kingdom. This is actually where we have done a lot of our filming. You probably noticed that. And also, this is where currently I'm doing my 2-day intensives here. So, again, if you're looking for a place and a good coach that you want to train with for a couple days, you can fly out here, have a good 2 days. We offer a lot of different things. Check that out in the description below as well. If you're interested in franchising or know somebody, just check the description there.
Pickleball is a sport to invest in, folks.
You know what? We see the billionaires. We see the regular Joe Smoes. Everyone's trying to get in.
That's right.
I want to invest.
Everybody wants a piece of pickleball.
We'll save up some money, then we'll we'll invest.
I'll sell my car.
Yeah, you might want to start with that.
I'll try and sell my apartment too if I can.
Yeah. So speaking of indoor facilities, Caden.
Yeah.
What happened? Or let's jump into the next segment here.
Yeah. Well, as you guys know, Jordan just mentioned that more and more pickleball facilities are being built, and obviously where there's kind of some crazy weather, they're trying to go indoor. So I mean, places like Washington. Obviously Canada is one of those places as well, but there are a lot of places where, you get a lot of snow throughout the year, right? Maybe from November through, February or even March.
Yeah.
So there are places that will not even bother with outdoor because it's either snowing or it's raining, which means your only option is to go indoor, right? Now, I will say, I have seen a lot of indoor pickleball facilities not done well. All right. So if you guys are planning to create or build or invest in a pickleball center that is trying to make sure it is correct.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of pickleball facilities that.
So what are some things like, again, and this is a good thing to talk about just for, people are doing sitting part of city planning on boards,
right,
and things like that. So the first thing that I can say, if you're going to build an indoor facility, make sure you have enough room.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So when we talk about room, we're talking about an adequate, whatever, room on the sidelines and on the baseline.
Yeah.
So that's number one. What are a few things that you would add in there?
Ceilings. I see a lot of buildings with ceilings that are not high enough.
Yeah.
So it's not the worst thing at the end of the day, but if you're going to build courts to the point where whether you're hosting a 3-0 or a pro match, anybody could play on that court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't want to have your ceiling hinder any points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you need to have ceilings that are high enough.
Well, if I had to pick between ceilings and space, I would pick space.
I would pick space. Honestly, if you didn't say space, I would have said space. But since you said space, I said ceilings.
All right. Yeah, actually, I mean, building our court here in our backyard, which you see me filming on a lot as well.
It's a good looking guy up there on that TV.
Yeah, look at that left-handed forehand there. Okay, but yeah, when I was building my court, space was a big thing, and I actually could have went a few feet in.
Oh, really?
A few feet in, and on the sidelines, maybe a few feet in from the baseline, maybe save thousands of dollars. But I'm actually glad I didn't.
Yeah.
So the court I built is 65 feet by 35 feet, and that's a good slab. Again, I would probably I would say that's good. And if you have more than that, then that's great. But
Right.
yeah, you definitely, I've never heard someone say, I built a court too big and I regret it. It's always the other way around,
Right.
you know?
Right. For sure.
Yeah, but on that note, speaking indoor courts, this last PPA
Yep.
was that Lifetime?
It was a Lifetime in Minnesota, indoor facility. Obviously, I wasn't there for this one, so I don't know how many courts they had. But based off of how the tournament went and everything, I think it went pretty well.
Yeah, so we're going to jump right into PPA. And I don't know where you want to start here. We can, instead of moving right into the results and the brackets, let's just talk about some interesting things.
Some of the chaos that ensued this weekend.
Some of the PPA chaos that ensued. We won't start with that. Where do you want to start?
No, I would love to go right into the chaos.
Right into the chaos. Okay.
Right into the chaos.
Now I have a list here. You know what? We'll just start with the interviewer of interviews.
Wow.
The man, the myth, the legend, James Ignatowich.
Total stud, dude. Oh my God. That guy not only had himself a weekend of pickleball, but that man was all over my social media with his interviews.
Dude, I think honestly, now maybe he's this guy because I haven't met him personally.
Okay.
James, you still got to come on the pod. But I don't know. Is it like a PR stunt? Or is this guy just amazingly talented at what he does? I don't know.
You know what? I feel like I love James. So he's actually a super nice guy.
By the way, for those of you listening, we're going to hop right into his interviews. But go ahead. Yeah.
I think, Ryan Sherry kind of held last year for, interview of the year. And I mean, actually, what's funny is Ryan Sherry's famous interview was actually from the Minnesota tournament last year.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because that was the tournament that kind of singles was up for grabs, and he ended up beating Julian Arnold in the finals. And
God, yes.
all I remember was all he was talking about was Casamigos and the party buses the week before.
Yeah.
And how he was in prime time pickleball shape to win a singles final. And so I think
he was basically saying like he drank all night and he just shows up to
partied all day and
work,
showed up to work. Yeah. And I think James had to know that, maybe he didn't.
I don't know. James took it up to another level.
He said, Ryan Sherry, hold my beers.
Hold my Casamigos.
Multiple, yes, right, exactly. And he went for it. All
right, so we're gonna so if you guys don't know what we're talking about, James Ignatowich, sponsored by Selkirk, by the way, shout out to Selkirk. He had a ball here. He balled out.
Oh yeah.
Here at the PPA Minnesota. I have a few interviews here, and this is the first one that we've seen. And again, I'm just going to play it for you guys so that you can hear. If you're watching on YouTube, then you can see this.
Daddy's home.
As well.
What happened to make you pull through in the end?
The monkey's off my back and Daddy's home. Just so you know. Big Papa Jimmy.
No, did they make a remix?
Daddy's home. Let's go. I don't remember what the question was. Sorry, I'm cramping like I'm just really in a lot of pain.
What happened?
Okay, so I see. I was trying to. Shout out to Evie and Webby. That's from their channel. I guess they made a remix, but he said something along. It says here, Ignatowich is crazy. I like it with the crying, laughing face. But no, dude, James is something else, dude. Is that from a movie or something? Do you even know, or is he just Big Daddy?
I mean, every guy likes to think they're daddy. But I mean, dude, after the way he played this weekend, I would say he deserves that title. Dude. He deserves to call himself daddy for the next few weeks.
Yeah, he's something. I'm telling you, to keep these interviews interesting. I'm telling you, he's doing a really good job.
Yeah.
And Liv here, Borski, she's newer. I don't know if I've seen her. I don't know what happened to Han and John's, but
I have never seen Liv Borski in my life. But Yeah, she's chill. She's chill. I will say, Hannah does a good job of, kind of showing the enthusiasm, kind of getting things, amped up and ready to go.
Yeah.
People like to complain that, when she interviews Ben and Colin, it's a little weird because you just see three Johns in the photo. And I would agree, it's a little odd, but also at the same time, I think Hannah does a great job.
Yeah.
And I saw this actually. I saw a Facebook comment on the Pickleball Forum. Also, you people on the Pickleball Forum are crazy. But someone posted and said, I never thought I'd say this, but I miss Hannah Johns. And that sent me to Mars. I literally died laughing for about 6 minutes and 42 seconds.
Wow, you timed it.
Nice. In my brain.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Liv, I think you're great. I think she's a nice young lady, and I think that I actually, when Hannah John started interviewing, I actually remember this. She wasn't the best.
Yeah.
Actually, let's think about that. Yeah, I don't.
She was a little rough around the edges.
Yeah, a little rough around the edges. So.
She's definitely gotten better.
So we just drilled that interviewing skills, and I think that
it takes time, guys. You gotta give it a second. All right.
So here we go.
Whoa.
We will. I guess we're gonna. Let's see here.
We'll go back to that one in a second.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to that one in a second. Okay. So either way, there was another. Okay, I just don't have it pulled up, but so James Ignatowich had another interview in singles. I think after he won the semis, and he talked about. Shout out to Christian Alshon.
Yeah.
Right. Dude, the funniest quote was, everyone. He basically said something to the tune of. Yeah, everyone thought this game would have been close, but actually, it was close at 0-0-2 or 0-0-1 rather.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good. I'll be honest. He it wasn't a terrible match. It wasn't like 11-2, 11-3.
No.
But the way way James stated that was.
It was actually pretty hilarious. Now,
it was legendary.
Yeah, I don't know if they're friends or not. Maybe there's some friendly banter, but you know what? I did find out Christian posted a tweet,
correct,
or something, like in January, I guess, about I think I could probably beat Ignatowich with a wooden board,
with a wooden spoon
or something.
And I want to say previously before that, he actually said I will win a PPA singles title before James Ignatowich. So I would say James this weekend knew where his opening was, had a chip on the shoulder, and he said, all right, I got this little itch here.
Yeah.
I'm going to have it tickled.
Yeah.
This weekend. I'm going to have it tickled, and I'm going to have this thing off my shoulder. And as he said at the end of the weekend, he said the monkey is off my back.
Yeah.
And
what kind of monkey? I don't know. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Monkey chip? Who knows? Well.
But so that's James Ignatowich. We're actually going to get back to him because he collected a couple of gold medals.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. But we're going to hop right into, we'll just call it paddle tossing gate. How about that?
How about paddle tossing party?
Oh, paddle toss party.
Yeah.
Paddle party.
Yeah.
So again, over the weekend, it wasn't the best display of what you would want someone to look up to. But hey, we all have our faults. We all get angry at sometimes on the court. There's probably over 100 times I'd want to throw my paddle as well.
Yeah.
On the court.
Yeah.
So, but thankfully, I never have thrown it in the way that we saw this weekend.
Yeah.
But so DJ Young here, I think it was this a semi-final?
This was to go to the gold medal match.
So all great players here. We have Big Fed serving, DJ returning. And then we see
Pablo with the poach, and
oh goodness gracious. So DJ out of frustration on match point, he does slam his paddle down on the floor, and just unfortunately, let's just talk about the unibody technology of the CRBN paddle. Okay, that thing just stays together.
Thing flew,
and it just and the paddle just bounces.
I don't think he was expecting that.
Well,
but,
I hope not. But dude,
was
here we
a
go. Mrs.
tomahawk.
Volley. Okay, dude, I'm talking about. So DJ Young, he throws this paddle on the ground and it bounces. I think it's 12 to 14 feet in the air. It has to be. It's high. Because what I just saw again.
Oh yeah. Wait, hold on. Let's play it one more time. I'm just gonna make a quick sound effect.
Yeah.
For when that paddle goes line. You ready?
Okay.
Ready?
So here we go. DJ returns, miss volley, out volley. So I gotta say, and for the right reason, the people in the crowd were not happy. They were not happy.
I mean, you're watching a pickleball match. Next, a pickleball paddle's flying at your head. I mean, I'd be a little scared too.
Yeah. So obviously, he let the best. He let the what is it called?
He let his emotions.
He let
get
his
the best of
emotion
him. Yeah.
get the best. he let him get a. Go ahead, Caden.
He let his emotions get the best of him.
Yes,
for
there
sure.
you go.
For sure.
And he did actually. I saw a public apology that he did on his Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't know. Actually, after this, what we don't see in this footage is Don Stanley, head ref, comes to chirp him out.
Oh, he'd shoot him out for sure.
Which is, I think, valid. And you actually, the thing that I didn't like there, and I know he was really frustrated already, but DJ kind of just tries to push him off. And so what do you think about this situation? And honestly, what do you think about some repercussions or how PPA should handle this or should have handled this or maybe in the future, Caden? I mean, again, smashing your paddle is one thing, but once it goes to outside, it goes outside, even in tennis.
Yeah, right.
People smash paddles, warnings all the time, but once it gets into the crowd, it's a different story. I mean,
for sure.
What do you think? What's your thoughts?
I feel like, if this were any type of sport, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where I think it would be reasonable for PPA to look at like a 1 or 2 tournament suspension.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, obviously, like knowing DJ well, I love DJ and I know he's an emotional guy. So for me, like I look at what he did and I don't shun him for it, but I also like, if I were right there, I would have been like, hey, DJ, I love you, dog, but we can't be doing that type of stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like for me, especially as a baseball player, I'm not even going to lie. I was that guy who, if I struck out looking, not swinging, if I struck out looking, my helmet was getting tossed on the ground. My bat was getting thrown up against the fence. I was that kid, all right? And it took me one time to realize that it got close to someone, and I was like, all right, I need to check myself here because I can't be hurting someone else because I'm pissy about something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I think for DJ, I think, because I mean, I like I said, I know DJ. I've seen him toss his paddles. I don't think he's ever had, that time where it hit someone.
Maybe this was a little wake up call for him.
Sure.
Because I actually heard in Sacramento or something I read something that something happened.
APP Sacramento last year?
That I don't know. I may have read into some comments that something on the tossing side may have happened. But anyways,
I don't remember it, and I was there. So
I really believe DJ will get better, learn from this experience. But yeah, I mean, we see in actually any other sports, and I have actually saw this the other day with basketball. I guess if you throw the basketball in NBA now into the crowd or something, that's an automatic ejection.
Oh, for sure.
So we're in uncharted territory, uncharted waters here, but definitely something the PPA is going to be looking at
for sure.
And
because you as a business like the PPA or NBA or MLB or whatever it is, if you throw something into the crowd that no one is expecting and it hits someone and gives them even a black eye, I mean, that could be trouble for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Someone could be looking to sue, and so luckily no one was hurt in this instance. Yeah. But like I said, all it takes is one little thing. My dad always used to say, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And it's true. I mean, like, all it takes is one little paddle to go flying into the stands, and next thing you know, someone's going to be in an uproar and filing some legal papers.
Yeah. So
You know?
really, really tough situation. Again, hopefully he's going to learn from it. I'm sure he would. I honestly would never throw a paddle again after that in my whole life.
The paddle, I would glue that paddle to
yeah.
my hand if I ever did something like that.
Something like
and
that. Yeah.
had something bad happen for sure.
But I mean, going back, I know we talked about this before and you've heard this before, but going back to when people really got on Tyson for breaking his paddle over his knee out of frustration, I'm telling you, you know what?
They did?
Yeah.
People were mad about that?
Oh, yeah. They were mad at him because, solely because, he's showing anger, okay, but at himself, but solely because of the paddle and like, that can kind of like, that paddle can go to the kids or it's you know what I mean? Those kinds of things. And then he kind of responded, Tyson said, hey, I do a lot, like kind of in a joking way, but dude, like I do a lot. He teaches a lot of youth camps and things like that for free. But regardless,
Interesting.
Regardless, breaking something over your knee in frustration. Hey, I understand that paddle may cost a lot of money, but these pros have so much on the line. And hey, I would advocate for that. Rather that than throwing a paddle.
Here's my thing, all right, is if you guys are playing on the Pro Tour or not, there's a lot of emotions behind playing pickleball.
Yeah.
And not recreationally. I mean in tournaments.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if you find that someone's upset about something, it's okay. Like it shouldn't be a bad thing to show emotion. You know what I mean? I feel like, especially from tennis, like I think the reason why Nick Kyrgios is like loved and hated is because of his behavior. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so I agree that, I would say tennis is obviously different from pickleball, but there shouldn't be any reason why you shouldn't be allowed to show your emotion. We're all human.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I've had moments where I would love to snap a paddle over my knee. I would love to huck it over the fence, but you know what?
Part of the reason that we probably didn't do that is because we didn't get all these free paddles. So
it's true. I mean, yeah. Well,
I might have broken paddles in the past for sure.
I think as a junior, when I was sponsored by Engage, I didn't get that much stuff, but I think one time I just had it and I actually hucked a paddle into the fence and it like snapped. Oh. And this was like when Engage's paddles were great, but they weren't that durable. Yeah. So I kind of just like hucked it at the fence and it's like snapped, and then I went to go pick it up and I was like, crap, it's broken.
All right, I guess I won't do that again.
Yeah, so like you saw that it was broken and you like came up to me and you were like, how'd that break? And I was like, I threw it. And then you actually were like, hey, like
should have been like a third shot drop.
Yeah. But you were like, hey, like don't throw your paddles. And I was like, okay, my bad.
That's fine. But big thing there. Again, lessons learned. We'll see what happens in the future. But again, talking about paddle tossing, we're gonna go into the archives, and this is publicly available to everybody. So
you can find it on YouTube.
It's just funny to see. Shout out to Jeff Warnick. Jeff, we would like to have you on the podcast soon, but
I'll bring a Four Loco for you.
There you go. Jeff Warnick is a pro, signed by Gearbox, I believe.
Correct.
Is he with Gearbox?
Yeah.
You don't see him on the tour too much, but it's because he has a full-time job. But he's definitely at the top. He can compete with the top. But this is a few years ago, and 4 or 5 years ago to be exact. A nationals here. We got Jeff overhead playing with Michelle Escovel against Alex Hamner and Tyler Loom.
Where's the sound? We need the sound. Give me the sound. Also, okay. Alex, come on, man. Hit that ATP.
All right. Okay, we got some sound here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so for those of you that are just listening to this, there's a little firefight exchange between Tyler and Jeff Warnick, and he misses match point, it looks like. Yeah, obviously match point at the net.
At Nationals.
And at Nationals, I'm sure tensions are flaring, and Jeff Warnick does a full kind of shot put, kind of like turn. You know how shot put, they rotate a lot?
Oh, for sure.
He does a full kind of like shot put turn, and then he ends up
full on Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, full on
off the back foot onto the front foot.
Yeah, so good weight transfer there. You can see that throw, the technique is the same as the overhead. But that paddle, that may be the furthest paddle throw in history.
I think it was.
Yeah.
And I mean, the funniest part is the guy who posted it is Tyler Loom. And not only did he post it, but he also added the music and labeled it greatest paddle throw ever.
Bro, shout out to Tyler Kaching. Tyler, I don't know. I've always wondered, I don't know if that's your middle name or is that just a play on, I don't know, on something.
Well, I know like Cars, you know, like how Lightning McQueen says Kachow, but like, I don't know.
Kaching, bro.
Maybe his middle name is Kaching.
I don't know. Okay, so shout out to Tyler. If you want to come on the podcast, dude, just let us know. But yeah, Jeff Warnick throws it probably 60 to 100 feet, and I what I heard is that it did land on a court
Yeah, where people were playing.
close to somebody. And again, I think after this is a learning lesson.
For sure.
I don't think Jeff threw a paddle after this.
No,
I mean, not in
definitely
public.
not.
So
It was one of those things. I just remember when it happened, like everyone was talking about it. Everyone was
Yeah,
like, "Oh,
yeah.
what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?"
And-
you know what happened?
nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. So
But he definitely got talked to. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and this was, I guess, on the danger level side. This was definitely more, a little bit more dangerous. And I'm trying not to laugh, but if you watch this, if you go and watch this video, it's actually kind of funny. If you don't find this funny, then I don't know, maybe comedy is not for you.
Yeah. Hold on. I'll say it with a straight face. It's not funny.
It's not funny. Okay, so again, so that was Paddlegate, or paddle throwing party.
It
that what we
was
called it?
paddle tossing party.
Yeah, and then on that same note, though, let's talk about on the women's side. Now, I haven't seen many paddle throws on the women's side, but Salome Davice. Let's jump right into the Davice madness here.
Yeah.
Now, there was a point there where she was playing Leia
Yep.
in singles there, and she actually lost it a little bit. Out call there, and she slammed the paddle down to the floor. So at least that one stayed within bounds.
You know what I think it was?
Well, she slammed it face on.
She slammed it face on, but it was also a Yola, so it didn't have the same juice
not
as the
that
CRB.
unibody,
And,
yeah.
not,
Yeah, but I don't know. So again, there has to be something though. Interesting, or maybe there is a warning issued on paddle throws now. Is there? Or
I
do
mean,
you know?
so here's the thing: is if I think if DJ threw his paddle in the middle of the game or after game one, I think there would have been a technical.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well,
Even maybe disqualification.
What would have been interesting if that happened during the match.
Yeah.
Because Don Stanley, I mean, you know what I mean? They
Yeah,
couldn't say
right.
much to him.
Well, actually, I will say in Vegas 2 or 3 years ago, I watched a very new Thomas Wilson and AJ Kohler play Randy Zabindin and whoever his partner was.
Yeah.
And I think it was Matt Staub. Randy Zabindin ended up throwing his paddle after the game because he was pissed off,
Yeah.
and they disqualified him from that match.
Wow.
So I think if DJ had thrown that paddle 2 points earlier or a game earlier, it would have been immediate disqualification, not only from that match now, but I think because it was live streamed and all of that, I think he would have been disqualified from that tournament. Yeah.
So really, really interesting situations. But on the Davice versus Leia Jansen, shout out to Leia. Obviously, Davice is known for some questionable line calls. We kind of talked about that. And again, if you would like to maybe talk about that or defend yourself, Salome, if you want to come on the pod, just
We'll listen. We're good listeners.
you know where to find us.
Right.
But obviously there's been some back and forth, and I think Leia and Salome may not have the closest friendship outside of the court. But
I'd say that's valid.
but again, there was line calls, really, really close ones. And in this one, actually, Leia had some close line calls. And we'll have to look at this. But anyways, Leia had some close line calls, which Salome was not happy about. And Leia ended up winning it.
Correct.
Yeah. So about line calls again too, Caden. I mean, you play a lot of tournaments. I've played a lot of tournaments. If you guys go to my last kind of vlog on singles, there was a lot of close calls. So it happens in the pro game all the time. Let's talk about just what your thoughts are, how to be courteous also, but make, how to just be a good sport on line calls when you're receiving it and when you are putting it out or calling it. And what do you think? Do you think there's a difference between rec and pro? You know what I mean?
This is an interesting topic because I would say personally, I see hooking at every single level of pickleball, whether it's tournament or recreational. All right. Now, I would say as you get older, I think I watched, it was very early in the morning, but I played at the PPA and it was very, very early in the morning, and they had started they started the men's singles 80 plus bracket. 80 plus. So the fact that these guys were even playing singles was insane to me.
Where was this?
PPA. PPA JW
80
Marriott.
plus.
80 plus. It was crazy. But what I noticed is when these guys had a ball that was even close to the line, if they couldn't get it, they would just call it out.
No.
I am not kidding.
No. Well,
I am not
What about
kidding.
their eyesight, though? Maybe it was the thing. No, but dude, that's something.
In a 3-point span, I saw this guy call the other guy's serve short when it wasn't. Very next point, the guy hits a drive. The guy hits a drive like right inside the line, maybe like 2 inches inside the line, and he calls it out. And so like it was just like retaliation back and forth within 3 points.
Retaliation line calling. You know what? Between Leia and Salome, I don't know. I don't know if Leia, what she saw, one of them was really close. One of them looked a little bit in. But hey, how do you handle it on both ends? What do you do, Caden?
Personally, I would never hook anyone, and
not on purpose. I guess that's what hooking is called.
But but I would say personally, like, I have good eyesight. So if I'm gonna call something out, I'm genuinely being honest in the fact that I saw it 100% out. And if I'm not sure, you know what? I'm gonna say, hey, what did you think? Because and I mean, at the end of the day, if someone's even questioning it, I will say sometimes people like to question you just to kind of get you on edge.
Yeah.
All right. But what that does mean is you have to know for sure if it was out to call it out. All right. And people, I will say, on the pro tour and even in the at the amateur level, people will play it off as they are sure, even when they're not. Right.
Yeah.
So it's tough, right? I mean, I would always say, hey, if you don't see it, if you're not 100% sure, you should always give the point to that person.
Yeah, yep.
You know what I mean? If you are even questioning yourself slightly, you have to be the bigger person. All right? And even if that means you lost the match, lose honestly. You know what I mean? I would rather lose a match and have a close call where I wasn't sure, and I asked the guy, and he said, hey, man, like, I genuinely thought that was in. If you genuinely think it was in, then I will give it to you. But if you're just saying I thought it was in because I want to win the match, screw you. All right? But also at the same time, like, people know who they're playing against at the pro level. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's tough. And that's the interesting thing. It's like people will show up if you're playing amateur or whatever level, which I'm really what I mean, 5 or below.
Yeah.
You're seeing different people. And again, if you make bad calls here and there on, let's say, an accident on purpose, you may not see them again. So again, these pros play each other all the time. And the thing is, these matches are live streamed.
Yeah, for sure.
People are going to be seeing this. So,
well, it's not the first time Salome has been a part of line calling controversy. You know what I mean? And
I mean,
usually she's the one that we're kind of like, Salome, what are you looking at there? And like, I would say, but it's also not the first time that like Leia or Catherine have made calls on her because they know that she did it to them too.
Yeah. So leave a comment below if there's a rival out there in tournament play that consistently calls close balls out. Would you do the same? Is it ethically moral to retaliate with a little bit of line callage back? I don't know. I've heard I just saw that posted and I was like, good question.
Yeah. It's not my thing, but I don't know. What about you?
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't want to do that, but you know, Leia saw what she saw. She
Yeah,
saw
true.
what she saw. So
Yep.
again, you know, we don't know what people are thinking at the moment, but just in general, if that's you, make the best line call you can. And you're right, Caden. If you win or lose, it'd be nice to know you won or lost the right way.
Yep. Win honestly,
You know?
right? If you guys want to win and earn it. Don't win and cheat. That's just me. I mean, now I always joke around and say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. But also at the same time, be honest. Come on, guys.
So that doesn't really match up, but
No, it doesn't. No.
we hear that all the time. But speaking of line calls, there was is it a gold medal match? We had Julian Arnold and Lauren
Stratman, yeah.
Stratman versus Thomas Wilson
Yeah.
and Vivian David. And you didn't see this, Caden, but I told you. I'm sorry I don't have the video, but I'm just going to explain what happened. There was a questionable line call. There was some rallies going on, and then Julian Arnold hit a topspin roll dink to the even side there, and Vivian saw it out, so she pointed her finger, but it looked like she wasn't 100% sure, because the first reaction of Julian's like, you know when it's close, your opponent, I think it's natural. When it's close, your opponent's like, are you serious?
Wait, whoa.
Yeah. And again, shout out to Vivian, because she's the nicest woman on tour still.
Yeah.
She's great. And
Vivian's never trying to hook anybody.
No. And she, it's just so funny because, So anyways, there was no challenges remaining or whatever. And then what happens is this is the funniest thing I've seen. They walk back, commercial break. You kind of see right before the commercial, Julian Arnold gets on his phone, and then like Lauren's right there. And then he's like, and this is funny because this is actually hilarious content here, because he like, you know, look at his phone. He's trying to rewatch the replay. And then after it comes back from commercial, you see all four of them looking at it. And then Julian's like,
See, I told you.
and then Vivian's there just smiling, being nice. And
King Julian, man. King Julian doing King Julian things.
yeah, but you know what? I don't know. I don't know what do you think the PPA needs to do about line calls and about like, so currently right now, Caden, I guess, you know, on the big matches, does everyone have 2 challenges or 1? How does that play out right now?
That's only Championship Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, so it's.
I mean, gosh, you would think we have the technology to at least.
You know what's funny is kind of how like in tennis, how they have that, you know, that replay review.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, literally, like, it's not just camera views. It's like technology where like the shadow of the ball is like it knows exactly where that ball is. You're not just looking at a camera going, I think that touched the line, didn't it? Did that touch the line? Kathy, can you see this? Come check it out. Did that ball touch the line? No, like, I mean, in tennis, that algorithm or video, whatever review, whatever it is so accurate.
Yeah, it's called Hawkeye, and one of the reasons why we don't have that, it's very, very expensive. What I've heard. But again, even having a super slow motion camera at the baseline,
it helps.
would help. And I know the PPA is getting better at that. Actually, MLP did it really well.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So whatever equipment they were using.
The only thing I will say is like, I used to tell people all the time, pickleball will take its leap towards tennis once we have Hawkeye, you know? And like every match that's live streamed, you are allowed 3 challenges.
I would say 2 challenges.
Actually, no, you're right. You get 2
Even one
timeouts.
challenge
You get 2 timeouts.
yeah.
Two challenges.
Honestly, even 1 challenge a game would be sufficient.
Actually, you know what? You know what it should be? 1 challenge. If you win your challenge, you get to keep it.
Yeah, there you go.
If you lose it, you're done.
Yeah.
I feel like that's fair. I feel like that's fair, you know? Each game, you get a challenge. Come on.
Yeah, so that was some of the crazy things that happened at this tournament. And again, let's hop into some of the brackets here. And again, of course, this weekend, we got some upset alerts on call here, ready. And again, this is I think the very first PPA this year that Anna Lee and Ben Johns were not there.
Correct.
So obviously, as you know, when that happens, floor's wide open.
Right.
And you know what? When they're not there, things mix around. And along with that, let's talk about winter and flight cancellations. Caden, Caden was talking. We were talking about this a little bit before the pod, and again, now it's in Minnesota for whatever reason. A whole bunch of flights got delayed, canceled. So there were multiple teams that literally couldn't make the draw, which really just messes up everything.
Right. I mean, I think there were a lot of people who were planning to come in on Wednesday, and it just magically happened that in Minnesota, they got, I want to say, like 10 to 15 inches of snow. So with that kind of weather, I don't think you're going anywhere.
Yeah.
So going to Minnesota, getting out of Minnesota, that's just not realistic. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of, especially for some of those people who maybe don't play singles or don't play, don't play singles and try and come in on Thursday and want to play mixed doubles on Friday and then doubles on gender doubles on Saturday. I mean, there were people who were planning to come in on Thursday and couldn't get on their flight.
Yeah. No, really crazy how weather can affect things.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's happening with this brackets. But anyways, we won't look at the brackets. Let's just mention a few things here. For men's pro doubles, we got finally the Quiet Boys.
Yeah.
We got, I don't know, I just thought of that, but
Quiet Boys.
I don't know. The Mutes.
I wouldn't say they're mutes. I would say
you were saying mute on the other podcast. But anyways, Dylan Frazier, J.W. Johnson, the Fast Hands.
Oh, yeah.
Team Fast Hands, Team Counter. They got men's pro doubles gold. Federico Stack-Strud, Pablo Tellez, which I think played great.
Yeah, no, they were the surprise of the tournament for sure.
Yeah, they got silver, and then Matt Wright, Riley Newman, interestingly enough, got bronze.
Right.
And you said they Dylan Frazier and J-Dub took them out, right?
Yes. So personally, what I noticed is, I mean, you have to kind of realize, especially for Matt, that there are guys that can play. You know, there are guys that are you know, if they play well, they're there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And I think it's been a long time coming for Dylan and JW.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm happy for them.
To kind of capture a title like this. And even last year when Dylan and JW played, they took down Ben and Colin last year.
Yes. Yeah.
But they ended up not even winning at all.
Yeah, and then just looking at the match, I mean, you see Dylan Frazier's game, probably one of the best hands, best counter punchers. Actually, both of these guys, Dylan Frazier and J.W. Johnson, they're really hard to attack.
Right.
One thing, I mean, man, J.W. has been a force, and he has it all.
Yeah.
He has all the shots. He's so nasty at the net with his rolls.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, it's hard to come in even on your third.
Yeah.
So one thing, though, and I heard this talked about a little bit, but the one thing that J-Dub could add if I was coaching him is off the bounce speed ups, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he has everything. And I think that his hands are so good and Dylan's hands are so good that if he just initiated attacks like Riley does,
right,
dude, they would be unstoppable. So I just think he's a little bit too patient. But again, obviously, I'm just thinking outside the box. But obviously this has shown how good they are. But I'm talking about if Dylan Frazier, J-Dub, if you guys want to keep competing for golds, I think that's what it's going to take.
Right.
Because JW, your dinks are freaking great, but your hands are so good. Dude, start speeding up off the bounce. What do you think about that, dude?
I actually think you're spot on with that, because when you look at JW and Dylan, I would describe them as... And I would say, actually, Dylan is a little bit more offensive off the bounce.
He is.
But he's also still a very patient player.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I would look at these two and say, okay, these guys are guys where either Dylan is speeding up and JW's cleaning up, or they're both staying patient and waiting for you to try something dumb, and all they're going to do is just counter on you because their hands are so damn fast.
And again, against Riley and Matt, I think they're tough. And then obviously the Johns, they've gotten close. But, you know, so with both of their counters being fast, JW could freaking speed up, then Dylan could close, or Dylan could speed up and JW can close. So I don't know, guys.
Both of them can speed up and both of them can close.
Yeah.
They both can do it.
Yeah, so
You know?
shout out to Dylan and J-Dub. That's a really good showing there. Now let's talk about men's pro singles. James Ignatowich.
Yeah.
Let's give it up for Mr. Monkey's off his back.
Good stuff, my man.
Yeah, so James, interesting guy, funny guy. Obviously, we just talked about his interviews, but he got gold here. JW Johnson for silver, and J Delivier for bronze. And you know what's really interesting is, so JW took Federico out.
Yeah, right. So JW was the 8 seed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's should be right, but
It's not super accurate.
but honestly, I think this year JW hasn't done that well in singles. Like he hasn't gotten any silvers.
He's taken a step back in single. I think he's
I think he's still getting used to his new paddle.
Yeah.
Things like that. But again, what we saw here, dude, to take Federico out, dude, JW Johnson played crazy good.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nuts. And then what I saw is, and then we saw in the gold medal match, James Ignatowich, I mean, kind of roll through J-Dub in the first game.
Played lights out, dude.
And then the second game was close, but if you showed me this, James Ignatowich gold, JW silver, I would have not believed you. I did not know James was that good of a singles player.
Oh, really? I knew he was a good singles player. So the first time I actually saw James was last year when I played South Carolina. It was an APP in South Carolina, and actually the final was JW and James Ignatowich. And that's when J-Dub was still kind of like the top dog as a singles player. Like Federico actually got bronze in that tournament.
Got it.
But it's funny to see kind of how equal they kind of are now, and even like kind of taken over in terms of that. So I always kind of knew James was a good singles player, and he always kind of was in that bronze or fourth place kind of stand when it came to playing last year on the APP and PPA. But yeah, dude, I mean, guy played absolutely lights out. He played absolutely lights out. It was cool to see.
Yeah, so James, I mean, one thing that I've been seeing more and more, obviously his speed, his court coverage is really good. Two-handed backhand, super solid, probably better than his forehand drive. But you know what? Right. What I saw in singles, I was like, I haven't seen James really drive any balls in doubles. But I saw he has a good forehand drive too. So he doesn't really have any holes in his game. He can volley, he can close really well. One thing, James that I would recommend is what's really interesting. If you watch James Ignatowich's serve, it's good, but he starts like right here. I don't know if you know, with zero backswing. Yeah. And again, I think if he just swings out, James, if you're out there, you're listening, if you just swing out on your serve like you're hitting your forehands, I think you can put a little bit more pressure on your serve. I mean, you're already winning with that serve. I think, again, I think of Ben Johns over time, how he's improved his serve, because his serve,
for sure,
2 years ago didn't used to be what it is today. But thoughts on that? I mean, have you seen James' serve?
I have, and you know what?
What do you think about my assessment?
It's funny. I 100% agree with you. I look at it,
especially in singles, right?
Yeah,
doubles, it's okay to serve that way, but
right.
I just think he can put a lot more.
No, for sure. I think actually, when I first saw his serve, I was like, damn. I was like, it kind of just looks like he's kind of arming it out there. And I was like,
a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, it works. Like he's still getting the job done with it. But like, I feel like he could win so many easier points, especially with his frame and his size.
Oh,
like,
man, he could be serving it like
he can serve it like Deckel,
like Deckel or something. You know,
why not?
Yeah, and on that really quick, let's talk about ServeGate here. You know what? There's a lot of, obviously, I think we talked about this a little bit, but what do you think about, we got Deckel, Tyson, we got a lot of the guys, a few ladies too, that are raising that bar,
For sure.
raising the contact point up. What is the solution here? Because again, right now, navel height, again, how can you call it in real time? There's no way that a ref can call it in real time. So I have one solution in mind, but I hate it.
Okay. Let's
So
hear
I
it.
have a solution in mind, but I hate it. I'm going to get to that. But what is your thoughts?
Oh, well, personally, I don't really think there's anything you can do.
Yeah.
There's too many, like there's a solution, but there's also a problem with it. There's a solution and then there's a problem.
So what
You know
would
I mean?
your solution be then?
I mean, you could say, all right, you have two referees on every court, right? Obviously, there's not enough referees for that. So there's problem number one, right? But let's say there's two referees on every court. One referee watches the kitchen line. One referee is watching the baseline and serves.
Well, let me tell you this though. Per rule, USAPA guidebook, rule book, whatever. Obviously, there's a wrist. Paddle has to be below the wrist. I think that needs to be totally taken out. There's an upward motion, but the main thing is below navel. Here's the problem. Here is the major issue.
Right.
Where's anyone's navel? No, but you cannot unless
It's true.
on your shirt you get something printed with a line.
Right.
Like there's or people play shirtless, which would be weird.
That would be a little odd.
But again, there's zero way to tell. So that's the problem. And again, the solution that I hate, that I do not recommend, but it's the only solution to actually keep it. It's the only solution to actually keep it valid is a drop serve.
Yeah, I hate that too.
I don't know if you knew I was going there.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
If
but
you want to keep everything legal, everyone could drop it from whatever. Obviously, we know the ball. Obviously, it just, I don't know. Obviously, just for me, it just looks terrible for the game.
maybe we just say screw it and just start doing overhead serves.
I mean, dude, and this is
That'd
so
be kind of cool.
yeah, but it's gonna. It wouldn't be cool. It would be really, really hard to return. I actually have a video coming out soon on that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But regardless, I just don't think there's a good solution. The drop serve is one. But again, I think if it's blatantly obvious, refs are going to call it. But if it's close, what can people do?
Well, you know what's funny is, I don't know if you've seen this, but last year in Newport Beach, Jay and Tyson were playing each other in singles.
Yes. So
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there was like that one time where like
No.
Jay thought like
Yeah.
Tyson's serve was too high, so he started serving over here.
at chess.
You know what they called it?
Oh, a reserve.
A reserve.
Oh yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if he's gonna serve like that and he's blatantly serving like that and you just saw it, why would he reserve it? That should be
No. But here's the problem. No, but Caden, here's the problem. If somebody is non-blatantly serving from above waist level like Tyson and it's close, you got to call a reserve on that. So it just makes sense. They can't. It's a fine line. I mean, then
if you serve over your waist and that's the rule. If it's a rule, you should lose your serve. I've seen someone lose their serve on it.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen an amateur lose a serve on it. Why doesn't?
Yeah.
I don't get why it would
you're
be
right
reserve.
about that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So-
whether you're blatantly doing or not blatantly doing
Yeah.
it.
But that's the thing.
You should lose your serve.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the thing. Why Jay was really mad is because they weren't calling Tyson on it.
Right.
Right,
But
so-
then Tyson was like, well, wait, hold on a second. How are you going to call that a reserve when he's actually doing that on purpose?
Actually, he really got mad about. It wasn't even that initially. He got mad about him serving that way. It went out, and then
yes,
still let
right,
him reserve.
right.
So that was the problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll probably fix that. Interesting.
You know who was the ref?
Who was it?
Adam McKinnon.
Oh wait, no way.
Santa Rosa Adam McKinnon.
Okay, a little stomping grounds past in our Bay Area pickleball adventure. Shout out to Adam. But yeah, so that's that. And then what else do we got going on?
Well, we have the PPA Florida tournament going on next weekend. But you know what? This weekend is a weekend off for professional pickleball.
Okay.
So I will let you guys know there is a Southwest Diamond Regional being hosted at Legacy this weekend. So if you guys wanted to go watch a little amateur tournament, there is The highest level at 5-0. There is a bracket. So if you guys are in the area of Arizona and you want to either go play some pickleball or go watch some pickleball, Legacy Sports is your place, and it'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a good tournament.
Yeah. All right, Caden. Actually, 2 more things here. Don't click off here. These are going to be good, interesting topics here. We talked about this last time, and we actually made a note about it, of how we're going to bring it up. Now, last tournament, we did see, I've heard from other people too, at the pro level, I'm not going to name names today, but there are multiple teams, multiple personalities, multiple pro players that did not show the best example of body language on the court with their partner. And again, I think the note I made from last week, you're probably going to remember this when I say it now, Caden. Be a good partner. Remember? And then you said, well, and then I wrote, what does a good partner look like? And then would you rather play with the best player or the best partner? So those are my questions to you. And we said we were going to talk about it today. So again, with players playing tournaments, you're out there, you're trying to look for a partner. Obviously, there's a lot of people that you can pick from, those things like that. What does that mean? What does being a good partner mean to you? What does it look like? And if it was your choice, I mean, do you want to play with someone who's just really good, or is the chemistry and being a good partner really set in a good stage in your mind?
Yeah, I feel like this is actually a really good topic to talk about, because you really do see a lot of different types of people in pickleball.
Yeah.
All right. Now, that doesn't mean you have to get along with everybody, but as a partner standpoint, if you're playing either with someone you've played with for the 1,000th time or for the first time, it is really, 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 I can't say really more than I'm saying now, but really important that you are a positive, reassuring, and kind pickleball partner. Because when you're playing, here's the thing, is if you're playing well and your partner isn't playing well, I can 100% guarantee that they are not sabotaging you on purpose, which means they are giving their full 100%.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not their day.
Yeah.
But what they're not doing is giving up and just saying, F this, I'm over it, I don't want to be here. They are still giving themselves to you, and they are still giving their time to you.
That's
so
really good, man.
If you're playing with someone and they're not playing well, the last thing they need is the pressure of your negativity.
Yeah.
Right? So if you start eye rolling, you start tossing your paddle on the ground, let me tell you, it does you and it does your partner absolutely no good.
Well, it's the opposite. It's negative. I mean, it will downward spiral from.
Oh yeah, wait, what did I say?
Oh no. You said it's not going to do them good, but it's not just going to do them good. It's actually worse. It tanks.
It gets worse. It just gets worse. Yeah, for sure.
Especially if you have matches after that.
Oh yeah. Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, like if that's just a really good take there. Again, and we partnered up for a couple tournaments, Caden.
Yeah, we did.
We did fairly well in one, I think, and the other one we did all right. But there was, honestly, that was my first tournament back, and had a little bit of nerves. There was a few games I wasn't playing good, and I did appreciate the just keeping it positive.
Always.
I think that's really important. And again, a few points here and there you pull together. If you kind of stick out the positivity, it could turn around actually.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I think that's something that we all can work on.
Yeah. No, I would say I've seen people be down 8-0 in a game to 15. I've seen people down 8-0 in a game to 15, and instead of being negative Nancy, they turned things around and said, okay, you know what? At that little 1 minute timeout on the switch, they said, all right, let's get things together. Let's go. And you know what? I've seen people pull that match out. So it's not impossible, but it starts with your mindset, right? And how you are able to turn things around based off of how you treat your partner.
Yeah.
If you're down 8-0 and you're like, oh, this is terrible. Like, what are we doing? Like, that doesn't help anyone. you know?
Yeah.
You being on the court and giving your partner an eye roll or like screaming at yourself or screaming at someone else, it really doesn't do anything. Having no energy on the court, it just makes matters worse.
Yeah. No, for sure, man.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. Last segment here. We get emails all the time from players, from people. Obviously, on our email list, we share a lot of good pickleball tips and things like that. So if you would like weekly pickleball tips sent to your inbox and good pickleball insight, just go to brioneспickleball.com, join our newsletter there. But sometimes we get emails like this one. Subject title, help, comma, please, period.
Whoa.
Now this is going to be a
Do you tell them to send it like that so you know to
no. We don't even ask for things like this, but sometimes it happens. So this is a little segment which I call pickleball drama.
Okay.
Local drama. Okay, but you know what? People are dealing with the sport growing. People are dealing with things all the time. So partly this is a little funny. And again, the person that sent it in, I won't name the name. You may listen to this, and if you do, maybe you'll get some good comments and feedback on. It's partly funny in a way, but obviously this is really serious stuff that people deal with.
Yeah.
So I want to get your take on this, Caden.
God.
Now, yeah. So again, you know what? If you have a funny story, if you have an interesting story, if you have a question, something that's really brewing up in your community pickleball wise, or if you just had a strategy question that we want, that you would want us to answer, actually, we're going to do some Q&As. So dump those comments below.
Ask us anything.
Ask us anything, and we will answer your questions in a live maybe, or pre-recorded, but a live Q&A session where me and Caden can just answer away. But it says here, from a known author.
Okay.
Jordan, can you tell me where I could find pickleball court rules when one tennis court is used for 4 pickleball courts? In my new master plan community, we have 3 tennis courts. One court remains striped for tennis and has 4 rolling portable pickleball nets. The HOA claims that any person signing up for one pickleball court gets the entire tennis court to themselves, meaning all 4 pickleball courts. This often leaves 3 courts unused, which makes no sense. I'm searching for written rules regarding this identical situation to prove that when you reserve a pickleball court, you are claiming only one of 4 courts to play on. Tell me, what are your thoughts on this? And please direct me where I could find pickleball rules to address this problem. Because many players think this is a waste of space. Thank you. Signed, unknown.
Oh my God, that almost made me fall out of my chair.
Oh man. So I know maybe Caden, you're not the best to answer this, but you know what? You deal with a lot of players, and what's interesting is, and not funny, but I have dealt with a lot of different students and players, and there's a lot of tension in communities, and I mean, this is not their livelihood, but this is what they live for.
Yep.
People are what would you say? What would you say, kid? And do you get the context?
I get it, and yet I kind of just if you're reserving that court, take it. You know what I mean? Shoot, I personally would love to have a court where there's 4 courts, and you know what? I'm the only one there. You know, because I'm gonna be honest. Living in the Bay Area and playing pickleball for 3 or 4 years while I was playing in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever a time where I wasn't getting kicked off a court after playing a game. You know what I mean? So like, I mean, if there are no tennis players complaining about,
Well, let's assume there are though.
there are. Okay.
There are. That's
Well,
the problem.
Maybe, just maybe, you have to start recruiting people to come play.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
I was just gonna say that again.
Yeah.
It's partly we want to be courteous to people, but obviously if you reserve the court, you reserve the court. So if you have like a tennis court, then you have 4 pickleball courts lined on it, then obviously you reserve it, but you show up with one person to drill with, then there's 2 or 3 tennis players that are looking at you. There's going to be some tension there. What I would suggest, kind of in this situation, again, HOA is going, the rules, there's no unibody or there's no like, official rule book for this.
Right.
Your HOA and stuff is going to have to
kind of just enforce things, really.
Enforce things and figure that out. But what I would suggest if someone's gonna reserve a court, don't just reserve one. I mean, reserve one, but invite 10 other people so that they're on the other courts too. So it just looks better.
Have a pickleball party that day or something. I don't know.
PP.
Yeah.
Pickleball party.
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know. If you have any stories or questions like that, send them in. I don't know. Leave a comment below. I'm sure. I'm actually 1,000,000,000% sure. I know that's not a number.
That's very confident.
I'm 1,000,000,000%. There's like at least 24 people in this situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, as pickleball is growing, as the sport is growing, a lot of things to figure out. It's a very exciting time for pickleball, but like we talked about rules, about the serve, there's a whole bunch of things to still be worked out.
Yeah, I think there's always a lot of, question and controversy when it comes to what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I actually love that Mr. Anonymous here sent us an email, because it's better than just going up to some random Joe Schmo and being like, hey, what do I do here? And just getting an opinion of someone's. Now, obviously, you're getting our opinion. But that being said, I mean, I would say as far as pickleball goes, you and I do have some good knowledge on what's going on, what's right, what's wrong. And in this situation, I mean, there's really no right or wrong. You kind of just have to ask HOA what's going on, you know?
And then the rules are the rules.
Yeah, right.
I mean, until they change that serve rule and don't let people serve at shoulder high and reserve it, I might throw in some shoulder high serves on my next tournament. What do you think?
If they're going to let you reserve it, shoot, why not? Why not?
Anyways, that wraps up this episode. Again, stay tuned for some future ones. We have some really, really good ones coming out.
Some exciting ones for sure.
Exciting ones. We couldn't get it out soon. It will be out in a little bit. Yeah. Maybe with some top players that you may idolize and know. So
some familiar faces.
So stay tuned for that. Again, thanks so much for watching. Last thoughts, Caden?
Thank you guys for watching. I just like to say, Mom, Dad, I love you. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. And hey, keep pickling.
Keep pickling. Moms and dads out there, we really appreciate you. Grandmoms and granddads out there, we appreciate you too.
Tell your family you love them.
There you go. You never know when the last time you're going to be thinking with somebody. So even on the court, be appreciative.
Yeah.
Be appreciative.
Be kind. Be kind. It goes a long way.
Yep. All right. See you guys in the next episode.
Deuces.